Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and a member show to the GMP Morning Show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Tudo bem? Como está? How are you doing today? Well, I hope in Norway, apparently, when you're asked, how are you? Sometimes Norwegians say, I'm awake and I'm not crying. Hopefully we can improve beyond that. I totally understand that. Hopefully we can improve beyond that condition if that's where you find yourself this morning. I stayed up rather too late. My eyes feel like sandpaper. So let's see what happens in this next hour, shall we? I need to hydrate, I think, at least my eyeballs. Of course, starting with the Bon Dia Daily. Jimmy, very cheeky dog behind me, has taken advantage of the situation, waited for the show to start, and then helped himself to a box of biscuits. Why you look... Okay, got to admire his cheek. Chocolate's bad for dogs. It's not too much chocolate, don't worry, you dog lovers. But that was so cheeky and stealthy. That is exactly what he's like. Just starting, as I was saying, with the Bom Dia Daily, a bit of news, weather, language, culture, and well-being here in Portugal for around 20 minutes. And then we'll welcome the old guy, the OG in Europe. That's James Holley. He'll be joining us at about 20 past the hour, and at 22 we'll be talking to Steve White of Home Miners, finding out what a busy investor has been up to on this 13th day of January. He's probably done as much work in these last couple of weeks as many of us will achieve in a whole year. Steve, so looking forward to talking to him. And I have advertised UK, US and Canadian experiences, perspectives, and of course that's where Steve comes from. A little bit of UK, a little bit of Canadian background, and we've got a wonderful a bit of film of him on a toboggan run, which I'm looking forward to sharing with you as well. So looking forward to talking to James and Steve this morning, but we'll get underway with the Bon Dia Daily, and I'll start, well, actually, some lovely news. Thank you very much, Pete and Diane, for capturing this for us. This is real news. Hey, oi, you, hey, sling your hook. Come on, you finished the biscuits. You're very naughty. Thank you very much to Pete and Diane for sending in some. This is the news that happened on their doorstep or someone else's doorstep. And maybe I can hear Pete singing in there as well. I can hear a bit of a bass or a baritone in there. If you listen very carefully, I think you hit at the end, you hear Pete saying, muito bom, at the end there. Thank you so much. This is a lovely way to start the day. This is, well, before we go to the continued singing of welcoming in January, Cantar as Janeiras, which sounds a little bit like the language and culture section. It all mixes up, of course, here on the Bom Dia Daily. But before we go there with Cantar as Janeiras, we will have a look at a central Portugal sunrise. 18 glorious seconds of peace and quiet, actually, and tranquility from the central Portugal sunshine. We're going into dead air now, but in a really good way. Check out this the sunrise this morning. Did I say sunset? Check out the sun. Check out the sunrise this morning. I think fresh. This is, you can't get fresher than this with a news update from the Portuguese interior. The coup de Judas here. Thank you very much to the Bleachers for this. And then out of the silence comes a good old sing-song Portuguese style. You see, you've got the quiet of the countryside, and then you get the church bells and the cockerels and the dogs and the local disco and pimba music, or people knocking on your door and singing. That is you in there, Pete, isn't it? Muito I recognise your voice in there, I think, as well, and offering a little bit of lower support on the sonic spectrum there, in the harmonies of that song there. Well done, Pete and Dan. Thank you so much for sending that in on 913-590-303. A lovely insight. That's the news. That's the news here. And of course, there's some pretty grisly and grim things happening in the world at the moment, but we like to present a slightly different view. That's not to say, of course, if there's any help required, and there may well be with the LA fires. We might talk to Mike again. I haven't even spoken to him about it, but I'm sure he'll have a view. And if we can offer any sort of support to you and yours with a connection to Los Angeles, of course, we will do our best to do that. I mean, I don't think we need to do any coverage on that because it is amply covered. But where we might be able to help is offering support to people from our own community who might be struggling with any kind of experience or connection with that. So we'll see what we can do in that regard. And with anything else, any other big issues that are going on in the world, how it affects our community members is what is important to us. Jimmy, do you mind? You see, I knew it was a bad idea allowing him to be in the studio. Now he's having a fight with the other dog in the kitchen. You can take the lad out of the countryside, but you can't take the countryside out of the lad. Bon dia, borada, bonjour, guten morgen. What is get in your box in Welsh? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope your morning is good. The sub-zero weather has finally broken here, so not quite so many layers to put on. We're glad to hear that, Coach. And I got your message. I'll respond to you today. And we'll get the balance right, of course, on the well-being information, including your God Squad tips of the day. That's in a little bit of disarray as we go into the beginning of the year. But isn't all well-being and fitness a little bit in disarray? What with resolutions, broken resolutions, and promises, and resolutions for how we're going to deal with the up and coming year. So I'll get back to you on that, Coach, and appreciate you and what you bring to our community. Bon dia alegria from the bleachers then, and a JMC also with us. Bon dia peoples, you say, and somebody new, JMC, fairly new, I think, to our community, at least under that name. Kark Gaming. I'm not being pranked there, am I? Morning from Kark Gaming. How are you this morning? João Ernesto de Norte. Thank you very much, John, for your correspondence as well. We'll go with that. I was all ready to share some Portuguese sayings with everybody this morning. However, you sent us that lovely flag meme, basically, the bandeira de Portugal, and what the colors and emblems mean on the flag. So we'll go with that. We'll come back to that for our language and culture section in just a moment. Thank you very much, João de Norte, for that. Morning, Ian. Hope you had a lovely weekend. We had a great time with Lee in Lisbon. Oh, I think I know what a great time with Lee in Lisbon involves. Maybe one or two beers, perhaps, algumas cervejas. But we did miss the carol singing on Saturday. We've got it on Tuesday. Just pure bliss. Lol. That is a moonset. I thank you very much for that correction. So not a sunset, not a sunrise, not a moonrise, but a moonset. I'm sure I've got there in the end. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I only got about 3 hours sleep. Right. I love that. I love that. Can't wait until Tuesday to do it again. Oh, that was a singing from earlier on, I think, there. So JMC, just an excuse to mingle the Janeiras for a tinto. Oh, I see. Yes. Don't mind singing, but I do love a glass of wine as a reward at the end of that. My weekend involved getting rid of the mother-in-law. That sounds very unceremonious. On a train and lots of shopping, the credit card is severely damaged. Is that what she wanted? Look, I'll leave, but you're going to have to take me to the shops on the way home. Brilliant. How are you doing this morning? Do let me know in the chat. Any pictures and videos. You see what Pete and Diane did then. 913-590-303. Sincerely interested in what you are up to at the weekend. We'll do the weather, of course, as well. We'll have a look at the weather. How was yours? We got some sunshine. We did. And a lovely pentagram in the sky. Those pilots are very skilled, aren't they? A lovely pentagram in the sky yesterday on an otherwise sunny day yesterday. JMC, it is fabulous. What a way to start the year, singing in January. We know how to do things here in Portugal. Yeah, so we will do the weather. Let's move into, well, let's stay with culture for a moment, because me and Mrs. M, as part of a very busy weekend of some incredible ups and downs and all sorts and ins and outs, we went out, managed to have dinner out last night, and enjoyed this. As you can see from the picture on the screen, that is a, well, mostly eaten gelado, an ice cream. Now, not any old ice cream, because I was trying to make an affogato, which I don't know if there's anyone else here who likes an affogato, like an espresso coffee with vanilla ice cream. I asked for gelado baunilha, a vanilla ice cream, and I had very sweetly, I had a cornetto brought to me on a saucer, unwrapped. At which point I said, tem gelado em bolas? Have you got any balls of ice cream? Which is probably quite a risky thing to say to a waiter, isn't it? Have you got balls of ice cream? And he said, no, not tem. Hold on a minute. Yes, we do actually. We have our very own chestnut ice cream. Have you ever had chestnut ice cream here in Portugal? We hadn't until last night. It was delicious. I can't show you a picture of it in its full glory because we ate it too fast. That I just thought I had the presence of mind towards the end of it to take a picture. I said, Mrs., hold up a minute, and put a spoon in there for scale. It wasn't like any ordinary ice cream, or certainly not a mass-produced one like the cornetto that I nearly ended up eating. This had he went to great lengths to say this has got Portuguese chestnuts in it, castanhas, and it had a little topping, a syrup of port wine, red port wine reduction or syrup or jus or something like that on top of the made in their own kitchen, the chestnut ice cream. That was delicious. Thank you very much, Bohemia, for that. And a really nice Angus burger as well. Not anus burger, Angus burger. Although you never know what's in them, do you, really? Thank you very much, Bohemia. Great evening. The old guy in Europe is finally awake. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz segunda a todos. Como foi o vosso fim de semana? Asking you what went on at the weekend. And we'll find out from him what happened with his, because he knows there's been a weekend, because he's joining me this morning on the Monday morning. We did first class train down to Lisbon and back. 50, outrageous. What a rip-off. 15 euros each and lovely seats. Charging ports, really big restaurant car with reasonable prices. Sometimes the train can be quite nice. There you go. Some people haven't used public transport yet here in Portugal. You know who you are. There's a welcoming message to that genre of travel right there from people. That's great, isn't it? I mean, is that from Castelo Branco possibly, or Fundão? That's great value, isn't it? 15 euro. That can't have been a return, can it? That must have been. I mean, I'm not complaining. That's remarkable value if you compare and contrast that with, for example, the rail prices in the UK. Where did we get to? Balls of ice cream, I believe, as well. We were. Oh, okay, yeah. We're with the language and the culture. What better expression of Portuguese culture, and thanks to João de Norte for this, than the Portuguese flag itself? You might have seen this meme doing the rounds. I think it's good to dwell on it. And have a look. I had it stored and ready to go, and the prompt from João de Norte was all I needed. So here you go. Here is the Portuguese flag. You'll recommend that. And we'll be coming back to the red and the green. And now I'm thinking I should have gone, if I'm reading it from left to right. Morning to you, Hugh, as well. Good morning to you, Bom dia. I should have probably called Blue Monday. More about that than when James joins us. It's a week until Blue Monday, the financial, emotional, psychological, sociological low point of the year. We're going with red and green Monday. Okay, so send in your pictures to make sure we have a red and green Monday next Monday, if you will, on the usual number 913-590-303. Oh, that's a nice shot. You can see my barrel and part of my chili collection. What's that thing up there? Oh, that's a sachet of something or other that Mrs. M bought from the Continental store. Bottles of Beryl everywhere, it seems, in my kitchen, and some bottles of red wine there. And also looking like the ventilator extractor is about to burst into flames as well. I'll keep an eye on that. Green, then, on the flag represents the future. Reading from left to right on your screen as we take a little bit of a look at the Portuguese flag, as we take a little bit of a look, as we do each weekday morning, at Portuguese culture. So green, all well and good. Red, on the other hand, on the other side of the screen there, red represents blood lost in battle in Portuguese history. The castles on the red, they shield, sorry, yeah, well, they kind of do. The castles on the red shield, well done, Carl, represent victories over the Moors there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 castles. I wonder if they actually represent, correspond to particular castles in Portugal. They mightn't they? The white dots on the blue shields symbolize Christ's 5 wounds, presumably yes, hammered to the cross, and the wounds on the feet and the hands and the crown of thorns. I am guessing, I'm no expert, as you can probably gather and discern, but certainly Christ's 5 wounds represented there by the white dots on the blue shields. And finally, although I'm sure if we delve into it more, there's more significance in the flag, because when you're designing a flag for a country, you have the chance, don't you, to symbolize so much with the emblem. The blue shields in the coat of arms symbolize the 5 Moorish kings killed by Portugal's first king, Afonso I. Goodness gracious. So it's a flag of 2 halves, isn't it? Quite a lot of pain and war and victory there, as well as green representing hope for the future, which in our more modern and civilized times, we hope we can live out that intention there. Green representing hope for the future. And that is my news story this morning. I nearly forgot my news story. Where did I start? I started with a moon set, didn't I? And singing in January. And I better crack on and do this quickly. And then a quick look at the weather as well. A powerful meaning from Kark Gaming, a powerful meaning this flag carries. Unfortunately, people don't take it seriously nowadays. Well, we do. And thank you for being here, Kark Gaming. That's return €15 from Castella Branco. We booked today. It's embarrassingly modestly priced. And you can get a coach for €7, but no buffet car or wide seats. That's quite amazing. Come back to more of your comments later. Need to say good morning to Emma. How are you doing? What a beautiful morning it is here in East Algarve. Hope all is well. We shall. And of course, the thorn in the side, the 5th wound, not just the thorn, a lance that pierced Christ. Thank you for that. I was hoping I would be helped out with that. And thank you very much, João Nesta, for that. The 5th wound was the lance that pierced Christ's side there. Thank you very much indeed for that, for your help on that, John, and for sending me and prompting me that idea in the first place there. We are doing the Bon Dia Daily, everybody. News, weather, language, culture, and a bit of well-being. We better get on with it. This morning's news is Beanstalk. If you have a look at our website, you'll see that we have Beans Talk on there. And let me just pop it up onto the screen. There we go. That's our news item for today. And thanks to Antonio F for this. This is asking the question, really. Would you like to get and grow some free beans and help European sustainability and agricultural diversity? If you haven't started growing things yet in Portugal and you'd like to, this is a really nice little project. Thank you, Antonio F, for the heads up on this. Applications are now open for the 2025 growing season of Increase, where each participant, this is a quote, each participant will receive seeds of old bean varieties to grow and document their development through an app, recording photographs and characteristics of plants. So you'll get some beans and you'll grow them and you'll take pictures of them and you'll be part of a research project. The data therefrom will allow the project team from the Centre for Biotechnology and Fine Chemistry, the CBQF, from the School of Biotech of the Catholic University of Portugal in Porto, to evaluate the properties of the varieties and strengthen agricultural diversity in Europe. The aim of the project, which involves 28 partners from 14 countries, is to promote the consumption and cultivation of pulses in Europe. I think this is a little bit of a hidden agenda to create more wind power here in Portugal, but you will be helping with the preservation and characterization of old beans. Hello, old bean. Since 2020, the project has had the participation of more than 20,000. You've been good company, 20,000 European citizens who, over 4 growing seasons, have helped to collect valuable scientific data and create a community committed to promoting a sustainable future. In 2024, this project was awarded the European Union Prize for Citizen Science, recognizing its contribution to the valorization of agrobiodiversity. All you need to do then is have a little bit of growing space. It could be a field, you could have a gaff and a garden as big as Pete's, or you could have a balcony, garden, terrace, and the enthusiasm is what you need to plant and care for 6 different varieties of beans. Registration closes on February the 28th. And I'm going to give you the link for getting involved in this, going back to the Portugal Club where Antonio F first posted the idea to us, and it was from a news story, and I think that's what I'm going to share with you is the link to the Sapo story for connection to this project, and then you'll be able to go from there into claiming your beans, which is probably is a Portuguese saying. Right, a minute or so then to do a little bit of weather before we welcome I'll talk about not Blue Monday, but Red and Green Monday, which is what we're renaming the 20th. Just what's he doing? He's sending me semaphore. Pulses and beans. Hold on a minute. All right, we'll do the weather together then, James. All right, yeah, fair comment. He's counting himself in to the show. So let's play his tune, shall we? And we'll do the weather together with James and have a little bit of a scroll through. And actually, he can choose the weather regions that we look at today. So let's play his theme tune and welcome him on after this.
Unmute. Bom dia.
Olá, bom dia, tudo bem?
Take 2. Muito bem, obrigado. Contigo.
Muito cansado, senhor.
Sempre.
Although sometimes worse than others, James. There's not enough weekend. There's not enough weekend for my liking. Late to bed, late to sleep, and early to rise this morning. But I'm not complaining. I need to drink a bit of water so my sandpapery eyeballs can hydrate a little bit. This might help as well. I forgot the well-being news this morning.
The well-being bean.
Do you take omega-3s at all, James?
Not specifically omega-3s. I take a multivitamin.
Okay, but you know of the idea, don't you, of lubricating yourself with fish oils, as it were?
Yes. Well, there's supposed to be all kinds of benefits to it. So,
of course. Did you know there was a uniquely Portuguese way to do that?
No, I did not.
Guess what? How do the Portuguese take fish oils? It's one of the 1,000 recipes. I've not done the reveal yet, mate.
Oh. In their bacalhau.
Yes. Look,
claro.
You're not going to see that anywhere else, are you? On the planet, maybe in Brazil or where other Portuguese people live. But bacalhau omega-3 oils. How about that? If you want to be patriotic,
it's salmon or something. But yes,
or cod. I mean, it probably is cod oil.
Yeah, it is a cod.
Yeah. But this is
specifically is cod.
Yeah, bacalhau omega-3s. And
or more specifically, codfish.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Bacalhau, every time a Portuguese refers to it in English, it's codfish. So there's always fish after cod when they talk about bacalhau.
Yes. Okay, very good. Yes, nice point of order, Chairman, there. Yes, absolutely. I have noticed that as well. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, you are on a Monday our one-man well-being ambassador, specifically and particularly of the mind, but I'm sure you don't mind going into other areas of well-being. It's all connected, isn't it?
Every time you're saying being, I'm going back to bean.
Did you like the bean story? Do you feel
how you bean, old bean?
How are you, old bean? Pete's picked up on that as well. It's very British, isn't it? Jolly hockey sticks, old bean. We do speak like that in the UK. I miss that. I miss walking down the street and shouting out "jolly hockey sticks, old bean" to passers-by. But, maybe I can bring that into being in my local neighborhood.
It's all about the mix of languages, which is, I've been sort of engaged in thinking about that recently. Maybe I'll have a little time to talk about. Just to see if other people go through it, mostly as a setup. It's when I'm talking about things in Portugal, to English-speaking people, which language do I use? It's like
when you're talking about English things, which language?
No, when I'm talking about Portuguese things to English-speaking people, specifically Americans, which language do I use? And then that gets complicated by the fact that now British English is now infiltrated into my American English, which is now part of my Portuguese, which is all part of trying to describe Portugal to someone in English.
Yes.
And sometimes I get baffled and confused speaking my own language. Just, it's like Well, last weekend I went to Lisboa, and they go, "Where's that?" And I go, Lisbon. Oh, so it's in the Middle East. No, that's Lebanon. All that kind of stuff. That's like it has happened in the past. Yes,
seriously.
Yes. People think Lisbon is Lebanon, and anyway, lots of confusion. So I find myself when I'm about to make a reference to pants, which is how I say it, that I want to go to trousers because pants is like underpants in British English, and I don't want to mean underpants. I want to mean trousers. So, and then whenever I'm speaking English like this, and then I make a reference to Portuguese city, I use a Portuguese word for it, or using a Portuguese pronunciation. So I'm going to Ericeira, not Ericeira. I'm going to Porto, not Porto. I'm going to Lisboa, not Lisbon or Lisbon. So there's just, and it really came up for me when I was preparing an episode for an old guy in Europe on my few visits to Lisboa. And then I'm like, well, should I say Lisboa? Should I say Lisbon? And then there's, Parque de Natural, or just natural park, or, what do I, so there's just this kind of morass to work through. And mostly I just need to be clear and make a decision about how I'm going to do it. But
I love it. It's its own comedy sketch, isn't it? It really is. It
is. And it's nothing. I had not anticipated this at all. And I think most Americans don't, because we're not used to all these varieties of languages just all mixing together in our location. Yeah. Typically, we speak English everywhere. We talk about things in English. We don't call San Francisco San Francisco or San Francisco. Or see, now I'm mixing Spanish and Portuguese. It's like, but we don't do that. We just say San Francisco, San Diego, taco, whatever is Spanish. We just say as in American English, and we don't have. I mean, we have regional accents, but not language accents. So I think for me anyway, it's I wasn't anticipating it. I wasn't used to it. And I came here and I was just like, do. And then these things start coming up. I'm talking to Americans about places I'm going, and I'm using Portuguese pronunciations, and they're getting a little confused and going, why is he talking different right now?
Why is he doing that?
Yeah.
I think we need to strike a balance, don't we, as well? Because it can sound a bit pretentious as well, can't it? You might be trying a bit too hard, but then not to try at all seems lazy, doesn't it?
And then again, when you've got a public audience that's subject to comments, you get Portuguese people saying you should use the Portuguese pronunciation to show respect for the country. It's like, okay, that's reasonable. And then you get Americans saying, why are you talking that way? You don't speak Portuguese. It's like, why are you pretending to know Portuguese or whatever? It's just like, So mostly it's really getting grounded and just taking my position and making my choice and doing it the way that I want to do it. But in the meantime, getting to that decision has been quite a little process for me, and humorous, I find, so
goodness sake.
Yeah. So I was going to talk about that, but I just did. So I don't need to go into anymore. We can move on.
That means I can lure you towards Blue Monday again.
Yes.
Like last week.
Not that.
Yeah, not that again.
Oh, you're making me sad. I think I'm going to be really sad next Monday now.
No, you don't need to be. I've reframed it, James. Look, okay, let's start at the beginning. So as we discovered last year, and if it's a quiet news day, I don't think it's not going to be a quiet news day on Monday, January the 20th. Let's face it, for all sorts of reasons. However, should anyone be feeling a little blue, which is what the prediction is on, I think it tends to be the third Monday of the new year, we're going to rebrand it as red and green. Monday.
Well, January 20th couldn't be the third day of any week because the calendar changes. So it's either the third Monday of January or it's the 20th of January. So it is
the third Monday.
It
has to be a Monday. It has to be a Monday.
Yes. If it's going to be a Blue Monday, that would make sense.
Although, just to freshen things up, maybe they'll have Blue Monday on a Tuesday. Because it's
what if you're looking at the sky like I am now? It's beautiful and clear and blue. And it's actually cheery and fun and nice. And
No,
know,
we can't have that. There'd
fills
be a
me with
mistake.
joy. That would be joyful
sorry.
blue.
No, you're not
Blue-
allowed that on Blue
No,
Monday.
no blue joy.
No. Sorry, that's not allowed.
Okay.
Which else? I'm struggling here. I really am. I can't get news, weather, culture, language, and well-being, James, into 20 minutes. It's all spilled over this morning. We haven't done the weather yet, and you've reminded me. So may we do that now, and we'll come back.
Well, it's like
we're just
language.
gonna
Language
confirm.
is culture. It's all together. There is no one part of it. It's all part of the same thing. We're experiencing
No, I
this
realize
beautiful
that.
mix of.
Yeah, but I can't fit it all in 20 minutes.
Well, that's like saying I want to put my whole life into 20 minutes. Like what? Or my whole week or my whole day. It's like, that's a lot for 20 minutes. So just take the highlights. Ooh, right. The highlight, the 20-minute highlights. Okay.
All right. Well, we are 8:30. We're just getting around to the weather here. And look, sunshine finally should we do it in the way that you described then? So we'll do Portuguese pronunciation. You and me can be weather girls this morning and see if it's raining men. Lisboa.
Lisboa.
All right.
Okay. I can see the city.
Lisboa, 9 degrees. It's going to go up to 16 degrees today, and there's going to be a bit of sunshine. Porto.
Porto.
I'm
going to Porto.
9 degrees. Porto.
You don't have to put the surfer flag. Porto. But
Porto.
Yes, California, Porto. Where you headed? Oh, I'm flying into Porto. Still bugs me even that way. So.
I'm sorry. Right. 14 degrees high there today. Coimbra. Now, Steve, Coimbra. 5 at the moment. Bit chilly there. Rising to 14 today. Cloudy day. What about the Algarve? How are you going to say Faro, James?
Faro.
He's not going to say it. Oh, Faro.
I just did.
We got a bit of a delay. Faro. Okay, Faro is going to be 12. Well, it's currently 12. It's going up to 16 and sunny. Braga is going to be 13 degrees the high there. Cloudy today, 6 degrees. Now, all these other districts, where would you like to go? Where are you? Are you in the Lisboa?
I'm in the Lisboa district, but it's saying Ericeira is having the weather of Lisboa is ridiculous because we're on the coast. We're subject to wind and a lot of ocean weather that is not Lisbon weather. It's a big district.
Well, that's it is. And then you make your way into Leiria, where it's currently cloudy here, 6 degrees at the moment and 15 degrees the high today. But I'm looking ahead and I'm seeing that sunshine is on the way. The 300 days of sunshine has been very disappointing so far. In fact, the non-sunny days are outweighing the sunny days, but it is January. And very close to Blue Monday, which brings us full circle.
Exactly. And both derived, I believe they're both derived from the exact same place. Hype, travel, tourism, promotion of a country, trying to stir people up. That, Blue Monday, we determine last year that was actually spawned. That's a good word for it. Spawned by the travel industry, like to give us a reason to look to go somewhere where it's not blue. It's all advertising. 300 days of sunshine. The analytical mind of mine will not let it go. That a simple observation from one location in Portugal isn't going to give you an accurate measure on that. You have to measure the whole country every single day, how many minutes of sunlight actually come through versus clouds, and then determine how much light constitutes a day of sunshine. And then that's not even including the mood. You can have, like I just said, you can have blue joy. So you could have a cloudy day of sunshine emotionally. So anyway, it's a nice effort to measure. And ego wants to prove that it's right or wrong or prove something. And it's like, it's travel hype. It's just promote Portugal. I saw it just yesterday on some analysis of Portugal as the country of 300 days of sunshine, and going, not again. So maybe it is.
Not that again.
Yeah, I would imagine it's
Would you-
close.
Well, you know me.
I do.
Well, James, you know me. My scientific rigor, I hope, will prove it this year. And my criteria are actually quite loose.
Out
If I
your
see
window
sun in the
each
sky,
morning.
Yeah, if I feel my bones warming, that is a day of sunshine. One of
There
those
you go.
300 days. Stand by.
So what do you call it?
There you go.
Bone warming days. That would be easier to measure.
Which means if any advertising agencies are looking for a scientist, I am available. Right.
There you go.
I
Carl Munson's bone warming measure.
I've got a microscope, I've got a stethoscope, I've got a white coat, I've got a pen and paper.
And you got
Let's
a
go.
bone temperature measurer. Wait a minute.
Yes.
I'm measuring the temperature of my bone right now. Yes, the bone
steady.
is exactly.
But James, it's not called a bone temperature measure. It's called an orthothermoscope. Okay.
Okay.
If you really
Yeah,
want to use the technical
Thank
term.
you for that. I had never learned the name
You
of that
lay
device.
people, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. I always got to dumb it down for people. Okay. Right. Bon dia, Compass. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It looks like we did with the lovely pictures that are coming in. Mike,
What I can say
Mike,
about
I don't
the
know if we
weather-
can do another. Go on.
Sorry.
No, carry
Stepping
on.
on your toes again. This
we
new
can do
format
that.
is mixing me up. I do look at the weather forecast and the weather here in Ericeira daily just to get a sense of what's supposed to happen. And I give the farther out in the future the forecast is, the less stock I give it. It's like, oh, that's probably just wrong on Friday. Well, Friday's just wrong, but you know, they got to make a prediction.
Yeah.
But overall, it looks like there's going to be a cooling trend, to use a professional meteorological term, a cooling trend. I'm noticing the temperatures have dropped considerably in the forecast for the week, down to predicted 2 degrees on Wednesday in Ericeira. I said, oh, that is bone chilling. That's almost freezing. So yes, we'll see. See, I'm actively living in the world of we'll see. We'll see.
You are, aren't you? As you predicted, you're seeing that through this year so far on the 13th. Okay, well,
it's easy for me.
Suffice to say, then, next Monday, I will be talking to you about this again. You might a sick note might ensue.
I'm sorry, I can't be there today.
Yeah. Okay, James sends his apologies. Tired and emotional. So
he's feeling blue.
Yes, red and green is what we're going to rename it. Portuguese Monday. Send in your pictures of a Portuguese Monday, if you will, especially for next week.
Right. I had a thought about the red and green on the flag.
Oh, go on.
Like if you have a positive aspect, the green will get gradually a larger and larger portion of the flag, and the red will become smaller and smaller.
Yes.
How's that for hope for the future?
That's an active flag, isn't it? A barometer, bandana.
Every year they got to make it just a fraction more green on it.
Very
but
good.
Then it would become a green flag if there really was just hope for the future, no more blood spilled in war.
Well, maybe we need just a little bit reminder of history, a little bit of a smattering of red, Jed, just to remind us of some
like the little dots on the shields in the center of the flag.
Yes, that's right. And Pete was talking about that. I'm trying to find out where he was talking about that. Here we go. The 7 castles, because I was asking the question whether they actually have names and are kind of located. They are located in the Algarve region. Okay, so they're not the other castles some of us know, like Batalha. No, that's a monastery, is it not? So Leiria, for example, having been the castles conquered from the Moors and built by the Christians in the reign of King Alfonso III. So it does date back to a particular period in time where a strong statement was required before the advent of the internet and other means of popular communication. The flag had quite a lot of work to do to show people what had gone on and what the country's aspirations were. Thank you very much.
And the pirates had a very simple way of communicating that message.
They did, didn't they? Run!
Yes. A skull and crossbones. Run! Pirates!
Or swim.
Yes, not hard to interpret that flag.
No, that's right. When flags were flags. Blimey. Only an expat would know all that stuff about the flag. I bet the locals haven't a clue. I would question
I
that.
would question that as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
particularly Portuguese people, very, very interested in their own history, very patriotic. I think you speak for yourself. What's on the Welsh flag? It's a dragon, isn't it? Not a sheep. Anyway, Portuguese flag should have a garrafão, in my opinion. That's true, to reflect the popular culture as well, and maybe I don't know, a chamoça to represent the multicultural feel of the food here. Anyway, other
what
ideas?
would it be without a bacalhau? I mean, come on.
It's true. That should be on there as well.
Yes.
Our fin de semana was a lovely walk along the foggy coast on Sábado and Domingo, a favorite drive in the mountains to
That's
Castelo.
sábado, by the way.
Sábado. Of course it is, because the accent is on the A, James.
There you go. Well done. Muito bem. Not bad.
And apparently there is a roundabout that Pete has made filthy in some way, in the way that he does. I'll have to save your flicking the bean roundabout till tomorrow, I think. Beans have brought up memories of Blazing Saddles, as they often do, of course. And my grandmother, the first female doctor in Ireland, wrote a book on how to bring up kids with cod liver oil that was seen and not heard. Apparently, shell suits and perms are back on trend. What? We'll try and get through that tomorrow because we don't have time now, Peter. James, names should not be translated. However, names of things can. And we've got Paul here as well. Good morning to you, Paul. I opt for pronouncing names and places in the language you're using to avoid sounding pretentious. That's a good guide, isn't it? Bon Dia Cullen Gumpers from a very mild 11 degrees in Belfast after a very cold 10 days of minus temperatures and heavy frost fog. Lots of love to the McKillans over there. Hugh is in as well with brilliant sunshine. He brings brilliant sunshine from Visio. Cold -2 at the moment. So thank you, James. In the new format, you're going to be going about your day right now. But may I just share one more well-being message with you that I would like your commentary upon before we welcome Steve?
Sure.
Do you like this prescription then? The real luxuries in life. I thought this might appeal to you. Time, health, a quiet mind, a we'll-see mind, slow mornings, the ability to travel, rest without guilt, a good night's sleep, chance to be a fine thing, calm and boring days, meaningful conversations, home-cooked meals, people you love, people who love you back. That gives my heart a little swell and glow. How about you?
Yes, I need my, I don't know the medical name for my heart temperature measuring device, but yes, it warms the heart.
Your cardiothermo
there
ratio.
it is.
Okay. Quotient.
But yes, to not make a joke about that is very settling, and I immediately go to gratitude. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much my life. Lucky me.
Good for you, mate. Good for you. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
And good for anyone whose life looks anything
I did
like...
want to say that the reason I use Portuguese for saying cities is practice. It's very practical. It's like I'm trying to use every opportunity I have to speak the language the way it's supposed to be spoken. Yeah. But everyone else takes it. I mean, that's why I have to make up my own mind. Some people say it's pretentious. Some people say, you should do it that way. Other people, you shouldn't. So I just need to do it the way I do it. And if people think I'm being pretentious,
on me, man.
If you think I'm being pretentious, you don't know me. I'm just practicing.
There you go. And maybe a pastel donato on the flag just to
there you go. Yeah. Traditional cultural things.
James, of course, your latest video is on an Olá Bom Dia Europe on YouTube, and we'll see you again next Monday. Thank you. Have a beautiful week.
Thanks, everyone. It's always a pleasure. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. There he goes. There goes James. He squeezed a lot in to that 24 minutes or so. That was an old TV campaign, wasn't it? Maureen Lipman, I think, saying, you've got an ology. You're a scientist. Right. The science of investment and investing in central Portugal specifically. See what I did there? Steve White joins us now from the Home Miners.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
How are you, Steve? All right, calm down, everybody. Right, yes, I'm very well. How are you?
Not bad, brother. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. I can hear your lovely, rich and fruity voice coming all the way from the United Kingdom this morning.
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay. Brilliant. You have been traveling since I last saw you, and I did suggest to everybody earlier on in this episode this morning that by the 13th of January, you've probably done more than many people will achieve in this whole year. Has life been busy as a as a
Um,
property investor here in Portugal?
Definitely. I've definitely had my share of ups and downs over the holidays.
Really?
You know, not every day can be a good day in the property investment sector, but that's some of the stuff that we have to put up with. And even I see a lot of people, they say, oh, here come the big corporations taking over Portugal and ruining the country.
Oh dear. Right.
We hear these kind of things all the time, or people expect things to be done in the same standard as what they're used to back home.
Yeah.
But what they need to realize is that they're in Portugal now. Not saying that Portugal has a lower standard of doing things, but Portugal has a different way of doing things, and sometimes what we would think is efficient is actually more efficient for Portuguese people.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Get used to the difference, right? And have you had more than your fair share of that then in this last couple of 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, there's been a few hiccups, especially like around Christmas, but it was all settled with. I actually went back home to Canada for the New Year's to go see my siblings.
Yeah.
I was there for about 10 days. After about day 4, I was ready to go home.
Seriously?
I think Vancouver is a beautiful place to visit, but I don't think I could ever live after being in Portugal. I don't think I could ever live there again.
That is
I
quite
really don't
something.
think so.
Yeah, I mean, and people do speak very fondly and well of Vancouver, don't they? And Canada generally. However, for you, Portugal has your heart now, despite some video that we're going to share now. And of course, do you take any credit for the political turbulence that led to Mr. Trudeau's departure? Then were you back just long enough to bring that around, Steve?
I actually flew in on the day that happened. So there was a lot of, I've seen a lot of people celebrating about it, but what people don't realize is he's still going to be in office till at least March, and it still doesn't change the number of seats that are in Parliament. So
right, bringing us back down to earth there. Right.
there's a lot of things happening, but I don't think we're going to see too big of changes. I think it was more so headlines.
Yeah.
I find when big scenarios like this happen, it's usually because they're hiding something else in the background.
Oh, so, Steve. Yes, I agree. Yes.
Something's definitely happening. It's just figuring out what it is.
Yes, indeed. Let's have a look at some of the highlights of your trip then, which was quite enough after 4 days. Lovely countryside. And I hope James gets to see this behind the scenes, because
this is Capilano Suspension Bridge in Capilano.
It's magnificent, isn't it? Very, very, very beautiful there. And also a toboggan ride, which you went on as well. This looks incredible fun, Steve. Do you want to say anything about this before I play it?
Well, first, it's not a toboggan. It's a bobsled. So, the Cool Runnings track that they all went down? Yeah, I went down that.
No way.
We ended up getting up to 110 miles an hour going down the slope, and we only did half of the run.
So what is the difference between a toboggan and a bobsled?
A toboggan doesn't have sides, and a bobsled at least has fiberglass sides to protect you if you fall out.
And the Jamaican team had which one? A toboggan?
No, they had the bobsled. We are the Jamaican bobsled team.
It's a great film. It really is. It's superb. Okay, let's roll VT on that then. If you're eating your breakfast or you don't like high-speed adrenaline sports, you might like to look away now.
All right.
Here we go, guys.
Let's go. Woo!
That looks like great fun, Steve. John wanting to do that and James enjoying it as well. What was it like? I mean, it looks quite terrifying, actually.
To be honest, I've jumped out of planes. I've jumped off of cliffs. I've done a lot of other things that are, adrenaline junkie kind of things. And that is definitely in my top 3 of
Is it?
craziest things I've done, just because it's everything is so fast. You can't even comprehend what's going on around you. And you pretty much have to look straight or you're going to die pretty much.
Yeah, it does feel like you have to kind of give up and surrender to the process of that, right, until it comes to a halt, which you suspect it might quite soon, but you just don't know, do you?
Well, I kind of look at it, now that you say that, it's kind of like a metaphor with life and even just property investment in Portugal. Sometimes you have to jump on that bobsled and let it run the track. You know what I mean? Sometimes it'll go off the track. Sometimes you'll have issues where you won't get the best opportunities or times. But at the end, you still get to the finish line. Wow.
So is investing in Portugal maybe number 4 or 5 on that list?
Definitely. It's definitely up there. But it's getting better. I will say that, contrary to what people believe, I think Portugal is doing it. Portugal is evolving in a way, or I guess growing in a way where countries that have taken 10, 20 years, 30 years to do, Portugal is doing it in 2, 3, 5. So the expansion rate of Portugal, whether it is through financial literacy or whether it is just through investing or whether it is through accepting other people or growing with different cultures, it's doing it at an exponential rate in Portugal. And I can kind of understand some people's perspectives where they say they tell the foreigners to go away, or they don't want, news articles. I seen something today about New York Times saying that Coimbra is one of the 50 places to visit in 2025. Yeah. And people are saying, don't come here. We don't want you, blah, 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 blah. And I understand that to a certain degree, but at the same time, people need to realize that tourism is one of the main, I guess, capital generating ventures in Portugal, and one of the things that Portugal relies on to create capital for themselves. So, it's something that we need to do to grow forward and grow in life. And I just really think that I'm glad to see Portugal is growing and it's doing stuff in the right directions. Everything that I wish Canada or the UK was doing, Portugal is doing right now. So thumbs up. Oh,
that's interesting. Okay. And I feel it that you're feeling it as well, Steve. And maybe I was a bit too early on this, but these are things that warrant conversations, aren't they? Because you and I both, I think, understand why some Portuguese people might be sick of it. And, the way that gets expressed, it might be someone on the receiving end of that comment might be somebody like you, who I think ethically, economically, you are a helpful and sound person. If anyone's going to be doing it, it should be you and people like you who wouldn't be afraid of having a conversation with that sort of criticism. You're not shying away from it. You mentioned it this morning. It's not a problem. Well, it might be a problem, but it's not one that you're afraid to broach it and discuss. And that's what I think we need, isn't it? Because these issues, if they are a problem for people, should be talked about rather than festering. And there are a number of live issues like that in a fast-moving society, aren't there? Immigration just generally brings that with it, let alone economic impact, and there is social impact as well. So I think it's really important that we have conversations about this, and I'm sure we'll continue to do so, right, Steve?
Exactly. I preach about this all the time, that I try and do the best I can to make sure that I am inclusive of as many Portuguese people as I can with the business. And not saying that foreigners are second, or that I want to have a second class or second rate of things. But I just see that, people, how do I put this? The people who maybe beg for help don't always want it. And sometimes people who want help will take the precautions necessary to learn from what is happening and how can they adjust. I guess it's Darwinism at the end of the day.
That's right. That's right. And some people who are moaning just like moaning, don't they? And they don't intend.
Exactly.
They might not be ones who want to have a conversation, and that's their choice, isn't it? If they just want to be bitter
Well,
and
I find it strange lately that I'm seeing a lot of foreigners tell me about how I'm ruining the Portuguese economy.
Is that right, Steve?
Yeah, or just other investors are talking about how businesses are ruining the Portuguese economy, and it's like, well, you kind of need a business to have an economy. So,
okay, yeah. Well, there is lots to talk about this morning, not least your event that's coming up on Wednesday, where you may well speak of this again, and people, Portuguese people can come and find out the truth for themselves, can't they? If they have questions or concerns,
exactly.
You'll be open to dealing with that. Tell us more about that then on Wednesday, if you will. I don't think we've got time to look at the properties this morning, but we're overdue for doing a Tuesday night, aren't we?
Yes, we
so
do.
Maybe you and I could do a showcase of the new properties that are coming online in Figueira da Foz and Luzão as well. So maybe we should do a special on those. Is that all right with you?
That's no problem, man.
Okay. All right. And let's focus then on what's coming up this week, Wednesday, January 15th, 7 until 8 in our time zone here. What can people find out on Wednesday, Steve?
So on Wednesday, we're going to be just talking about how you can get involved in property investment. We're going to be speaking more to the foreigner side of things. So if you own property abroad, whether it's in the UK, US, Canada, places where you can refinance property, we're trying to show people how you can take advantage of this. Top locations for investment. It's all there. Guidance for personal and investment use. And affordable investment options. A lot of people think that you need 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 to invest, when really we start with anywhere from 20,000 and above. A lot of people think that 20,000 is hard to obtain, but especially if you own property in Portugal already, or you own property abroad already, the average amount of people that have capital within their home already that they can take out and use towards another asset. Let's say the bank is offering you a loan at 6%. The return on investment that we have is 16%. So that gap there is where you make your capital. You can make money on someone else's money.
Yep. Okay. And find out more about how to do that exactly on the link that I've popped into chat. Good morning to you, Antonio. Gemini as well. I'm Pedder this morning. Good morning to you. Thank you all for joining us at this new time. I hope it's working for you, or you're beginning to get used to it, between 8 and 9 on a weekday morning. There's the link for the event with Steve. Let's deal with a few bobsledging and tobogganing, because that's really aroused a lot of interest this morning. So there you go. Anyway, there's the details for the Wednesday night. Wishing you the best with that. And then we'll do a special on the properties in development. Is there anything else you wanted to bring to our attention this morning, Steve, before we pick up a few comments in the chat?
Not necessarily. I'm just putting into the chat my website, so you can find the information to the event on my website as well too.
Great, good man.
I guess the biggest thing that I want everyone to realize is that come to Portugal first before trying to move or trying to understand where you want to live. I see a lot of people post in the groups and stuff like this about, I have a family of 3 where they're thinking about relocating. I'd say it's best to come take like a week vacation or a 2-week vacation, come over here and experience it for yourself. The world is such an open place right now where you could literally, I kind of view countries more like businesses than actual borders. So if you want to leave one business and go to another, you're going to have the growing pains at first, but eventually you'll work yourself into, your work environment.
Well, that's a very interesting way of looking at it. It's not going to be without challenges and problems, is it? Nothing worth doing is without a little bit of hard work and some challenges. And I guess the intelligent question is not is this going to be perfect for me? Asking a complete stranger questions like that, but like, is it worth the trouble I might face to change my life? And what sort of life will I be changing it for? Is it worth it?
The experience you had is going to be completely different to the experience I had and the person next to us. All right. People need to understand that, Portugal in my opinion, is a place for everyone, or there is a place in society for everyone. But that's also for the rest of the world as well too. But for me, Portugal works for me. I love it here. I love the people. I love the culture. I love the food. I'm very envious of Portuguese people and what they have, but there's still things about Canada and the UK that I love as well too. But this is where I said that I'm working for multiple companies at the moment. That's how I look at it.
Very good, very good. All right. An important question: is there a professional driver on the bobsleigh?
Yes, there is. Yes,
they don't just put you in there and push.
So the person that was actually driving us, they're like on the Olympic level of bobsleighing. So they actually have the people just so that they can get their repetitions in. Yeah. They have the guys that are actually on the Olympic team. Sometimes
it's training. It's training for them and a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Sled, yes. Skeleton sled, no. Hard no, says Ernesto, who would love to do what you've done there. And a lot of people, well, some people are saying it's on their bucket list. Imagine an Olympic bobsled run where you take turns horizontal to the earth. James, I think, running that through his imagination as well. A couple of friends are from the track. Are now doing from the running track are doing bobsled professionally, hoping to go to the next Winter Olympics. That's great, isn't it? Pedder's regiment bobsleigh team won the Olympics back in the 1960s. The forerunners, possibly, of the Jamaican team. That would make a good movie as well. Your regiment bobsled team, I think, as well. There, Pedder. Peter, we have some friends whose kids are on the Portuguese ice hockey team. We love Portuguese sport. They lost to Ireland recently in the final of the tournament for smaller nations. A tournament for smaller nations. That's a good idea, isn't it? To give other people a chance. I love the Portugal has a good rugby side. It really does. Sport is loved here. Shager loves discourse. Oh yeah, this is okay. I'm sure Steve's not afraid of talking to anyone, and I think it's important to have these conversations, as we said before, and we will continue to do so. Problem with Facebook is that people give their strong opinions but are not willing to have a conversation. Absolutely, exactly. We are here, however. So thank you, Mike. And Mike, are we due to do another special? You and I maybe talking about what's going on in LA and how people can be supported. I know as a firefighter, you might have an angle on that. You helped us greatly when the fires were here earlier not earlier on this year, of course, late last year, the fires here in Portugal. You helped with a very important webinar. Maybe we need to have a conversation and be supportive of people with your insight again in regards to LA. Bom Dia ALEGRIA Gumpers from T-Duck. Let me know, Mike, on that if you want to help. Using Carl's rigorous research methodology, my personal research in Portuguese attitudes. I never thought I'd see that in a sentence. Carl's rigorous research methodology towards immigrant life like us Gumpers. 100% positive. Yes, that's my kind of research. You missed a few bits, T-Duck, this morning. You really did. But you can watch the replay. Available on YouTube straight after the show. Antonio F. Bom dia, Pete. Certamente, talvez numa viagem a Serra já há algum tempo que planeamos La Volta. And thank you, Mr. S, for your comments on my pronunciation. Made me a bit self-conscious there, actually. Love Portugal.
I was actually just about to say the exact same thing. Your pronunciations are getting really good.
Oh, thanks, everyone. You and Mr. S, anyway. Oh, and Philomena, of course.
Muito bem.
Old guy in Europe, you're right. Vacation is different to actually living there, says Gemini. It's true. And as Steve says, come and check it out for yourself. Verdad, says Pete. And I almost always listen to the podcast replay. Cheers, Tito. Appreciate that. And more than happy to, says my sister and mum live in LA. Yes, I think maybe then we should see if we can be of any way helpful to the extended Gumper community and anyone living over there. Luckily, the fires are north of them, but the smoke has been an issue. Right. We should do that, Mike. Let's have a chat after the show. Steve, anything else you want to share before you go? Good luck with the thing on Wednesday.
Check out my website if you guys want to learn more about investing in Portugal or relocating or the options that we have available for the products that are going to be finished this year.
Nice.
We have 7 projects that should be finishing throughout the year, pretty much March, April, May. We have about 7 houses that will be coming to the market.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, you and I will do a special to whet people's appetites about those as well. Steve, have a great week. Sure.
Thank you, Carl.
Have a great year. In fact, this is our first show of the year. I look forward to talking to you again. You can see me and Mrs. M on the moment at midday. Otherwise, we'll see you again in the morning. Thank you very much.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.